Yeah, I think we're finally live now, Mario, aren't we?
I think we might be. I see this little live thing in the corner. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic This Week in Cloud Native. Technical difficulties are the reason for our lateness in this current predicament. In this climate, you'd think we'd have this dialed in after COVID. Thanks for joining, everybody. Hopefully things are running smoothly. Please comment and respond. We are getting those in the live chat right now. So we thank you for waiting for us. This is exciting. I had to miss one of the last sessions, but I'm so happy to be back on air and hosting This Week in Cloud Native. And there's so much going on behind the scenes right now. I can't really talk about it. We have so many exciting things coming down the pipe when it comes to content from cloud native television, or whatever we plan to call it. And so I'm really happy to be here and really happy to be part of this team. Today, we are talking about a special topic that I know nothing about. So I am going to be the person asking the dumb questions, the person hoping that they don't sound too naive and stupid. And Bill here, who is my confidant in the CNCF, who I've been working with to make this all happen, and who is leading the future of what cloud native TV looks like, is going to enlighten me as to what Kubernetes Community Days are. And I'm really interested because I have myself formed a meetup in my locale that has gotten decently big, at least before COVID, where we've done a lot of great things and brought a lot of people together, I think, and connected human beings on a different level. And so I'm really excited about this discussion today to learn more. And so with that, without further ado, here's Bill Mulligan, and I'll let him introduce himself and talk a little bit more about what he does.
Yeah, thanks, Mario, for that introduction. And I'm super excited to be here chatting with you today about Kubernetes Community Days too. Before we get started, I guess if anybody has any questions, like we're going to build a Kubernetes Community Day today, and you all in live stream are like part of the audience too. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Like Mario and I will be monitoring it. We'd love to have your comments or questions, and we'll like try to answer them as we go along. So if you're trying to plan a Kubernetes Community Day, this is the perfect stream for you, and we'd love to get your questions answered as we go along. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's just like dive right in. So for people that aren't familiar with Kubernetes Community Days, I think a lot of people are familiar with KubeCon and Cloud Native Con, which is coming up. The one in Europe is May 4th to 7th, and you can register at the link below. But say you can't make it there, or you want to do like Mario and be a community organizer, bring people together in your local community. Like, how can you do that? One is for a meetup, but say KubeCon isn't coming to your hometown tomorrow. Like, Mario, where exactly are you from?
I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, in the United States.
Yeah, so I mean, like I'm from Wisconsin, so we don't really like Michigan. So since I'm at CNCF, I probably won't be advocating for
Can't believe you, Bill. Of course, I didn't even know that. I did not know you were in Wisconsin this whole time.
Badger Wolverine rivalry. So yeah, maybe this is a little dig in our friendship now, but so
it's okay. It's okay. No, I think I agree. I think there's like areas where like a KubeCon or other events are not going to come to you, and it's really on you to create these events. And that's why I think Kubernetes Community Days and all the other, Cloud Native Kitchen and all these other pieces are like other ways that you can get people in your locale excited that didn't know, that you don't know that these people, right? There's a ton of people, I knew people I met in my space when I started my meetup and started meeting people, and that starts to cascade. I think it's great that we're doing this sort of thing. So please continue, Bill. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. So if you want to, as I was saying, be a community organizer like Mario and help create something kind of like, let's say like a mini KubeCon, this is exactly what we created Kubernetes Community Days for. It's for self-service community events that really emphasize the local flair. So if you want to, talk about the big house and like throw in some like Wolverine flair, like that's totally fine because it's your local flair, and that's up for you to do. And if you want to talk about badgers and cheese curds because you're in Madison, Wisconsin, you can also do that too. And in Berlin, we're just partying, so there won't be a Kubernetes community day there. That's not true. There will be one, but that's the local flair. Yeah. So I guess Mario. So like, where should we plan our Kubernetes community day? Like, if you could plan one anywhere in the world.
Boston, Massachusetts. A big city, but it doesn't feel quite like that. It's one of my favorite places. There's a lot of history there. I think there's a lot of people there. And I think we did have a KubeCon in Boston, so maybe it's not the best location, but I think it'd be unique to say, okay, well, there's this big city that I live in. There's probably maybe things there, and maybe there isn't, right? And so let's just use that as or Wisconsin. I mean, we could do Madison or Stevens Point or some other place that there aren't many people. Up to you.
Sure, let's do Madison. So I guess like the first thing that we're going to do is go and like check out the like Kubernetes or like the Kubernetes Community Day homepage, and what can we actually find on the website. So I guess if we kind of jump over here, we can see some like cool graphics of like people at conferences. If we go,
Bill, do you want to share your screen?
Oh man, thank you.
I know.
Like still getting used to this. So yeah, I guess we go to the homepage right now, kubernetescommunityday.org. We can scroll down. We can see there's a couple ones upcoming, and there's like this live stream. I can see that there's one being planned in Bangalore. The CFP is open for that right now. There's also one in Africa. Wow, this is super exciting. You know, it's like a worldwide program right now. Really cool graphic. I love like the like flavor and like flair of that.
Yeah, these who is doing these graphics, because we need them, because these are like, they're better than monograms and other crappy ideas that I have. They're really good. And this is like, this all culminates to like the user experience, and the presentation is really important to help people understand like this is a serious thing as well. I think there's so many events that people are just bombarded with nowadays, and especially with some of these being online now and virtual, there really has to be some sort of draw. So yeah, I really appreciate the effort people are putting into these. Absolutely.
Yeah, and actually, I just saw like the tweet here, like the Kubernetes Community Days. I'm actually going to jump over to that and see what I can find there. So let me take off my screen share and switch to the other tab. Let's actually dive into like the first blog post. And so here we are at cncf.io. We can see the blog post, and okay, we're excited to announce that we're reopening applications for Kubernetes Community Days. So that.
Oh wait, hold on, your share must have canceled or something. What is going on?
Oh man,
come on, Bill. It's a Wisconsin internet or something. I think they don't know. There's cheese curds that get caught up in the wires or something. I don't understand. Jeez.
Yeah, some cheese curds in the wire.
Zoom your screen a little bit as well, just to make sure if I'm seeing this right. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better. Thank you.
Okay. Cool.
Go ahead.
Thanks. And so I read through. I think there's two kind of like exciting like main points here. The first one we can see is going virtual. Like it was in-person events only before. So Mario, kind of what you're doing with your meetup, but now we're going to have virtual events too. So that's pretty cool. So obviously with COVID right now, we can't do everything in person, or, you know, if you're organizing one across the whole of Africa, it's maybe a little bit difficult to bring everyone all together. So you can organize a virtual one, and it provides a lot more accessibility to a lot of people. But hopefully in the future, you know, we can go meet each other again, and we're also going to have hybrid and in-person events too. And the second part is the cloud native community groups. So Mario, as like a meetup organizer, have you switched over to cloud native community groups?
We are in the process right now, and I think COVID kind of stopped that, because we actually stopped. We had some meetups, but then we decided it wasn't really worth it for the time period. People were getting Zoom fatigue and all of that, and so we decided to stop. And so we're on indefinite hiatus right now. But I think as we move forward, when we get back into in-person meetups, that's one of the first things that we want to do, is make sure we're tapped into the proper cloud native system, so that other people can find us through the CNCF and other means, other threads, things like that. I do want to, there's a question that's kind of interesting here. What kind of criteria do you take into consideration when you decide the size of the event? What are your thoughts there, Bill? Because maybe you don't know what the size will be when you go into this. And do you set a max? Do you say, like, let's guess 15 people, or let's guess 50 people, or, you know, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I think kind of, so thank you, Juan Pablo. Oops.
Oh wait, no,
Sorry, wrong question. Man,
yeah.
struggling today. So we really encourage people to start small and like have a really solid event and grow from there. And so I think probably like for your first event, you should think of somewhere probably like maybe like 100 to 200 people. And I think the key thing is like, really see this as like a long-term sustainable thing. And if people have a really good experience one year, they're going to want to come back to the next year. And so really see this as a way to like build your local community and build connections with the people around you. That's what we all are as humans. We like to, connect and communicate with one another. And so I think if we take it like a long-term sustainable thing, don't go out and say like the first year, I'm going to have 1,000 people show up and it's going to be this massive thing. Well, it's really amazing if you can pull it off. It might be a lot of stress. So I really encourage people to, kind of start small and then really grow. Make sure you have a really successful and sustainable way to do that, and then grow the program from there.
I want to reiterate, that is super great advice. I think everyone tries to say like, we're going to do this 150 person thing to start. And as you grow, I'd say every time you add 50 people, even 25 people, the dynamic changes in the amount of work just keeps going up exponentially as an organizer, right? So do not tear yourself out, especially for the first time around. Get a feel for what is going on, what people want, and don't just yell like, oh, we have Kubernetes and, it's kind of a hot button word right now, but like also there's got to be a level of human connection, right? They've got to feel like they're coming and it's a full scale event in terms of there are other people to meet. There are things that I will get. There's value I will get from certain presentations or networking with other people, or maybe there's even, the food sounds really exciting, or there's prizes, or there's caricatures or whatever it might be, like in an in-person realm. Like make sure that people feel like they are spending their time wisely by coming to this event, and they feel like they'll actually get something out of it.
Yeah, definitely. And Mario, when you first launched your meetup, like how many people was there and how many people are there now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think the first one, and I remember freaking out about everyone having enough space and chairs and would the TV work, and I need an HDMI cable, and like it was the worst thing ever. But I'm so glad I did. I gave the first presentation, right? Because I'm just starting this thing from scratch. I think we had almost 15 people, maybe 12 or 13 people. But what's unique is somehow most of you know Mr. Bobby Tables, Bob Killen, who's massive in the Kubernetes community. Most of you know Jeffrey Sika, who's huge, who's done amazing things as well in the community, whether a release team or any other piece of the puzzle. Of course, most of us know George Castro as well, who Heptio, VMware. In terms of community, he is the guy. Those people I met through my meetup. I actually connected those people, and I think the big thing, and I don't want to trail on too long, but it's all about taking it slow. And nothing was perfect. The pizza was tasted like cardboard. I think everyone figured out where to sit or stand. They figured out how to get there. They figured out where to park. Right? Like, don't worry about those little problems. Worry about making it when they get there, when they walk in. They are able to interact with people, and there aren't guardrails amongst communication, right? I think that was really important. So,
yeah. So it sounds like this kind of like local aspect has been really important for you for kind of growing and building in the cloud native community, and it was kind of like your first foray in. And it sounds like you had a great experience too. And so meetups are one way, and Kubernetes community days are another way to do that too. And also, there's a comment from Pop to Brendan the Sticker Man. Mario, do you know this?
I don't know what's going on right now. I think Dan is just trolling because he can. Dan, how does Dan literally gave me feedback last time. He said, "Hey, listen, like heart to heart, your video, like I'm seeing up your nose right now, and you need to fix it." And so I fixed it, and I hope this looks good. So Dan, tell me, constructive criticism is really important, and hopefully no one can see up my nose. That's pretty gross. But I'm really I'm happy that Dan is here. For those that don't know Dan Pop, the Dan Pop podcast, I listened to it this morning. Just check it out. Dan is another one, and you'll meet more of Dan. I think he was in one of the last episodes that I was hosting. There are so many people that make this happen, and we are trying to call out all of them. I'll shut up now. Bill, continue. Let's get this community day planned out.
Yeah, so it really does start at your local community. So going back to our announcement here. I can see that there's already ones planned for Africa and Bangalore. So we're already across 2 continents. I think we'll probably get to 6, like possibly 7 if Mario will, kind of buck up and put one on Antarctica. Ooh. But we'll see.
It's so cold. It's so cold. I can't do it.
I can see that the CFPs are both currently open, and I can also sponsor that. So I guess there's like multiple ways for me to get involved. So actually, maybe we start a little bit smaller and check out like the CFP page first. So
yeah, I was going to say I'm actually on the organizing page, and I don't know if that's exactly where you are, but there's a getting started checklist here. Bill, would you is this checklist been like relatively well thought out, or would you recommend like other ways of figuring this out?
Yeah, definitely. So maybe we go there first. So I need to stop sharing that one. Let's see if I can do it right this time. We're on the organizing page. I gotta share this other screen and like add it to the stream. Like eventually this whole technology thing comes together.
Nah, it's gonna be like 2041 before that happens. So
okay. So Mario, as you were saying, like I think this actually is kind of like built on a lot of experience. I think we'd especially like to thank the people who put a lot of work and effort into DevOps days and also OpenStack days for providing a lot of the core ideas, the frameworks, the templates of how to run a successful community event. So this is actually built on years of experience, and there's a lot of great people who set up and organize this. So I think it's a pretty thorough checklist if you want to run a KCD, like how to do it.
Absolutely.
Again, yeah, it's on the. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so A, you're not sharing your screen if you were meaning to, and B, we have another question from Eve. Thank you, Eve. What do you think about having the audience in physical, but the talk from remote? So that's kind of my other question too, is like, if there was like a hybrid approach, is there a standard that you should be following to have a successful, community day that CNCF really would prefer, or is it kind of what works for you in your locale?
Yeah, I think there's kind of multiple ways to look at it. Like one of it is definitely like what works best for you and your locale. Like one of the things about, I'm working quite closely with the organizers of KCD Africa. And the biggest problem there is it's really difficult actually to travel between all the different countries. And so bringing people all together is super hard. So that's actually why they wanted to do a virtual event in the first place. But I think like the biggest aspect about KCDs is this interaction, connecting with one another on like the human level. And so I think if you want to have the audiences physical, but the talk come from somewhere remote, I'd say if that increases accessibility, helps us grow the community, helps us, provide more avenues for people to get involved and access one another, I think that's great. It's just making sure that you have a way for the audience to interact with the speaker and the speaker to interact with the audience. Because I think that's really the key part about these like KCD events. And we'll really set like your part of event apart, because there's always the question like, oh, I could go watch a video on YouTube, but why is it more important for me to go to this KCD? And I think what people will go to your event for is to really have this in-person, this like really visceral like connection to other people. I think that's kind of what we're all missing in the pandemic right now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I couldn't have put it better myself. It's all about, I hate the idea that the videos get uploaded to YouTube like a couple of days after, because then it erodes the fact that I was maybe there, that I put the effort in to go to the event, because I can just watch all of the content. But the thing is, people do not go to conferences for the content. They go to conferences for the networking, the human interaction, meeting other groups, meeting other people, seeing their favorite. George Castro saw a Bungie employee at the KubeCon San Diego, and him and myself and others are huge Destiny fans. And we literally he was giddy with excitement. I will tell you that. It was super fun. Like, it is about the networking more so than anything else. And the free food's actually pretty good. I have to say, you're going to get a little fat that week. Your workout schedule is going to get messed up for sure. I love on the top here on the page you're at, actually toward the top there. It talks about, we'd like to thank DevOps Days and OpenStack Days for some of the core ideas and content for this document. I was actually a co-organizer for DevOps Days Detroit, which cool. Was really, really cool. But I think that's a good model, because that's a good way to help me understand Kubernetes communities, as there is a kind of maybe central focus. central set of ideas and standards of what we want this to be in the representation side. And then each locale can mold that for what they're trying to do. And really in the US, it's kind of like Applebee's, if you will. Like they have a core menu and a core look. But some of the elements of your dining experience are tuned based on the locale. Maybe this a little bit more locale focused. But I really like that model because it helps you get further than just starting something completely from scratch. And it gives you a lot of support, I think, is a big part of this too. So, all right. So what is this next question from Fabrizio? Tools that help virtual user interactions. Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, definitely. So we do provide the Cloud Native community groups platform, and we'll hopefully like get to that platform at the end so we can kind of see like what kind of tools we actually do have for helping virtual user interaction. So yes, definitely want to get to that question. There is a way to do it. And we also have a question from Magnolo. Magno, where can I check if there's a KCD going on in my city or if I can organize one? Yeah, so let me just switch my screen really quick to the actual Community Days repo. So let's see,
all
like,
right. So you're not sharing anymore.
I know 10th time's a charm. Like I really will get it this time. Let's see, 3, 2, 1.
There it is. There it is. Every time you say you're switching your screen, I get a little bit nervous and then prepare to yell. All right.
Yeah. All right. So we got a couple different things here. So we can see there's a couple issues open. So this is a Kubernetes Community Days repo in GitHub. So there's 2 sections where people can open them. Is either in the discussion sections where we don't have any yet. If they're still trying to find their team or do other things like that. The other one is under like this issues section. And so we can actually see we have the issues open right now for Bengaluru, Africa, Washington, DC, and Brazil. So if you don't see your city here, definitely consider opening up an issue or a discussion to help like bring people together. I actually just had to go through and like close a ton of issues because this is all the people that wanted to do stuff before. And so there's a ton of people that were doing things that wanted to organize ones before, but this is, back kind of like pre-pandemic. So if you're thinking about organizing one, I'd also suggest to go through like the closed issue 2s and see if there's a team that was already kind of coming together into your city. So let's see, we have Ottawa. I saw there was one for Japan, Tunisia, Manchester, Pune, Portland, Naples, Brazil, Austin, there's Munich, like lots of ones around the world. And so if you're interested, potentially there is one already being planned right now or like previously back in like 2020 pre-pandemic. And maybe reach out to that team, or if there isn't one yet, create a discussion or create an issue. And then there's a couple of questions in the chat. Will there be an event in Dubai, UAE from Arun? So there isn't one right now, and there wasn't one being planned before. But Arun, if you're interested in doing that, like I really encourage you to think about like joining a team or like putting a team together. And if you want, I'm totally happy to help you out, like finding other people too, because I know there's definitely a lot of interest in the Middle East for cloud native tech too. And then we also have a question from Matt Jarvis. So given that these are going to be virtual events, are you recommending community groups within a region to collaborate on events? Yeah, so this is a great question. So I guess the first part is like, there'll be virtual events for now, but we don't see them as being virtual events forever. We really want to see people get back to in person. Because, as Mario was saying at the beginning, that's where he met like a lot of great like cloud native people along the way. So in terms of recommending community groups within a region to collaborate on events, we're actually already seeing this right now. So you can see like KCD Africa is obviously like a whole continent, and they kind of see that as a jumping off point to start kind of like more local groups. We saw the one for Brazil. Before there was, I think, like 4 or 5 in different cities around Brazil, but now there's going to be one overarching one for Brazil. And actually one of our co-hosts, Paulo, who switches off with Mario, is going to be kind of involved in pushing that forward. And I know he's super excited about building cloud native.
Paulo is literally, I think, my spirit animal. Really cool guy, and he is going to make a lot happen for the people of Brazil when it comes to tapping into cloud native and Kubernetes. I just wanted to mention, Eve just came with a really interesting comment to me. We were trying to avoid collision with other big cloud events. We realized Google Cloud Next and KubeCon North America is the same date. Okay, this isn't even a negative though. Like in the virtual realm, at least, like y'all should still get an event going, because during that event, everyone can then just gawk about all the announcements at KubeCon, what's going on, their favorite stuff. You could have big screens, monitors showing certain talks, certain tracks. Like, I think a lot of it depends on, like, if you're doing something local, if you are doing it in person in some way, and there is an event going on that is the core of what your event is, right? This is Kubernetes, this is cloud native. Like, this is what people are discussing anyway. There's no problem with that. Or move it just right after, when everything is fresh. Everyone's still got all these ideas. They're talking about it. They're interested. Like, that was some of the best meetups that we ever had, were meetups that would just happen after AWS reInvent, a KubeCon, or any number of events that happen. So don't use that as a deterrent as much. Find the opportunity in that.
Yeah, definitely. And, there's always a ton of things happening. So you can try to always pick the perfect date, like we thought we did with KubeCon, and then all of a sudden Google Cloud Next is right on top. And sometimes there's not anything you can do about that. But I obviously would encourage you not to schedule at the same time as KubeCon, because that might not be the most successful community event then, because most of your community might be wanting to go to KubeCon. Yeah. And I guess just to go back to like Matt's question really quick, yeah, definitely. When you're talking about like region, I know like the Cloud Native Nordics is like interested, like putting together like one as a region. So like definitely, if you like, you can totally consider doing one like as a region, especially as things are virtual and there's like a wider net. It's easier to pull from like a wider net too. So yeah. So here we are in the issues, and I guess maybe like the next step on like kind of getting started is like finding out, okay, so we have some like issues, like how do we, if I want to like jump in, how do I do that? And what do I actually need to set up a Kubernetes community day? So if I go to this new issues here, I can either submit a bug. Well, it's not what we're doing today, or organizing an event. And this is actually what we're gonna start out doing today. So if we jump in here, so what do we say? KCD, Madison, Wisconsin, 2021. So first one is, okay, please fill in information organizers as you sponsor them. Make new comments when it's ready to review. So location, Madison, Wisconsin, USA. Event date. Let's go. Yeah, let's go. May is KubeCon, so maybe not the best time. What do you think, Mario? Like July? Like 4th of July, like really great time.
That's a terrible time, but sure, let's go with it. I don't know if people that don't know, that's the Independence Day for America, which is where we're at. So maybe not. Let's roll with it, whatever.
Okay. So the event type, obviously, so this is July 4th. They're rolling out the vaccines, but I'm going to go with virtual because I'm not, never can be too sure. Now we're like jumping into the submission checklist. And so we can look at kind of the things that we have to do here. So no other community KCDs happening in an event in the same region. Like obviously, like this is going back to Matt's question, like make sure that like you kind of work, we want people to work together as a region. We don't want to have like competing communities. I think in Cloud Native, we really see it as a really collaborative place. So making sure that you organize with other people in your region too. Minimum of 3 organizers from 3 different organizations. I think this is similar to a lot of how our projects are governed in Cloud Native, where we want to see, people from a lot of different organizations collaborating together. So this isn't seen kind of as driven by one company. Every organizer has an account on the Slack, just so that, like me is trying to help like organize this, I can get in contact with you, and we can get in contact with you. It's just to, ease on the logistics and stuff. Each organizer lives in or just outside the KCD location. Like I think this one's about, it's meant to be the local community. We don't want to have, kind of like the team from Germany organizing events all across the US, because I think we'd miss a little bit out on like the local flair there too. And so making sure that it really is like a local event. At least one organizer is a CNCF member, ambassador, or project maintainer, member employee. CNCF membership is so large now. I think this is probably a pretty low hurdle to cross. Or if you are looking for, and we have member companies all around the world, ambassadors all around the world. So if you're not sure how to do it, please feel free to reach out to me.
All right. I have a question though, Bill. All right. So
yeah.
I very much understand why we have some of these guardrails in place. Like, these are important. And for those that are watching, like, we want this event to be diverse. We want it to be well supported. We want to help make it happen. And these things, don't think of them as guardrails. Think of them as vessels for making the event even better. But I do think this looks like, any other, let's say, job description for an application that you're trying to put on, where you're like, oh, I meet those 5 bullet points, but those last 2, I don't know any of that at all. Does this mean if you don't fit all of these perfectly that you cannot put an event on? I'm guessing the answer is no. What's the CNCF's take on this, Bill?
No, definitely not. Like, this isn't, I think you nailed it exactly, Mario. Like, this is kind of like the framework, but we want to work with you. This isn't, we want to be helpful for the community. And that's my role, is to like help make your event successful, help make the community successful. And so if you need help on any of these bullet points, I'm super happy to help out. At any point along the process, you can either reach out to me at my Twitter handle, which is on the screen. I'm also available on CNCF Slack, just Bill Mulligan. Also, like, just email me, bmulligan@linuxfoundation.org. Like, super happy to chat with anyone if they're interested.
Okay, where did Breakaway Billy come from? Breakaway. That's so unique. How do you even? Is that like a high school name for you? Because now I'm really interested in your past. This is really, really interesting.
Yeah. So I actually used to be a bike racer. In bike races, there's like the main group, which is called the peloton. And then if like some people can like break away, there's like a breakaway. And my style of racing was either off the front or out the back. So I was either in the breakaway as Breakaway Billy, or I'd get caught and then I'd pretty much implode and then go straight out the back.
Wait, hold on. Is a peloton where the name of the company, is that like where they got the name from? I didn't even know that. Okay, let's move on. Apparently I didn't go through middle school, high school, college at all. I don't know any of this. That's really cool. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Well, with that, I think like a lot of this makes a lot of sense as well. It looks like a lot of things to check off. But yeah. I think at the end of the day, getting these things done up front, knowing about them, is better than hidden things that you didn't know about that you have to worry about later on as well.
Yeah, definitely. Code of contact. I know like CNCF is super welcoming. And we want to ensure we have like a safe community, safe events. 3 sponsors. Once again, making sure we have like kind of sustainability around the event. A fiscal sponsor that can accept payments. And kind of like manage that, so you can do kind of self-serve process. One really important tenet of cloud native is really the diversity, power, resiliency of the whole ecosystem. And so being able to offer tickets to like underrepresented groups, using cloud native community groups, using SM Apply for the CFP. We've chosen the event date and time. So obviously kind of like all of this doesn't have to be filled out like right when you're submitting the issue. So say it's like Mario and I are doing one in Madison. Like the only thing we have right now is that no other ones are scheduled in the region for right now. And I'm gonna say the organizer 1 is Mario. What's your company again?
Carta. We're hiring, by the way. Let me know if you're interested. Yeah, just Carta. Okay. And then what else do you need? Title. I don't know. Professional.
Yeah.
Professional archaeologist, infrastructure archaeologist. I don't know. And then email is just that cool dude at msn.com. And the rest of this is not really important. It's just Mario is my username in most places.
Yeah. And then I can do the same for myself. So it's like, Bill, I work at CNCF. I'm not quite sure what I do.
That's a little bit alarming, but that's okay.
No, I'm kidding.
Titles don't matter a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Linux Foundation.
Again, he spent the time putting his email out the right way because he really is looking for, I guarantee you, more friends. I guarantee you.
Exactly. So please, if you're available, reach out to me. I'm happy to chat.
Yeah.
Sponsor one, let's say CNCF is in. Like Mario's company is also really cool. So Card is going to be doing it too. If we're looking for some other sponsors, now I can submit this issue. Okay, so now we have our issue. We can see one of our things are checked off. Mario's also an ambassador, so we can check that one off too. And I guess we have our event date and time is chosen. And so, so this is kind of like the checklist to kind of as we go through and as we're organizing the event, we can see like our progress against kind of all of these. And then this will be actually on our project board. So I go in here into event formation. I can see like different ones here. So KCD Brazil is looking for organizers and sponsors, and Bengaluru and Africa are in execution, and there's a whole bunch of closed ones right now. And so that's kind of like the interaction on GitHub with KCDs. And yeah,
I love this, by the way. I love how we're using GitHub to manage this. You'll see a lot of this happening with a lot of different projects out there. I actually did this with my own meetup where we had a issue that tracked the planning and discussion around getting a summer workshop plan. And so we had bullet points for all of the pieces. Those were assigned to people as well. So if you have multiple organizers, you could also assign if one organizer needs to complete something. You could do a lot more, but you could use this as kind of your authoritative place where all kind of discussion and whatnot around doing this, with the CNCF is going to happen. And it's really your reporting place for what's going on with the project. So the CNCF can also see, okay, there's progress being made. These things are checkbox. Here's what's left. Where can we help? Things like that. I think that's important for ensuring that, someone doesn't get this crazy idea to do this and then get a couple months down the road and kind of loses the steam or something happens. I think it gives some visibility as well and helps kind of break down the barriers to communication. And it's, GitHub, everyone has one, at least most of us do. We know how it works, et cetera. And Markdown makes it really easy to do. So definitely highly recommend that. And even for your own projects as well, since most of your team probably has, or most of your attendees and members probably have a GitHub, like it's a great place. And I think that the projects board here is really nice. I love the integration. So cool. Continue, Bill. This is fantastic. Don't forget, leave your questions, comments, concerns, thoughts, queries in the respective field of the platform you're using. And of course, as always, please subscribe for more great content. Like I said, there's a lot more coming. Maybe some other shows, maybe some other personalities, maybe some different design and art ideas. I don't know, but it's going to get real hot and heavy in here over the next few months, and the excitement is going to be through the roof. Trust us. There's a lot coming and a lot more that will be announced very shortly. So subscribe now at cloudnative.tv. We're on Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, and we plan to keep it that way. So much more content that you can hopefully glean a lot of learnings from. You can meet a lot of new people, and it's always getting better with time, like a fine wine. All right, Bill, take it away.
Cool. Yeah. So now the next thing, now that we have our issue, like say that kind of like went through, next thing is looking at the CFP. So I can see there's applications open right now for KCD Africa and KCD Bangalore. And so if I go into this KCD Africa, let's say I want to apply to be a speaker there. So I can log in. And yeah, so I was an admin before. I can see there's the CFP for this right now. And, first name, last name, location, kind of the classic stuff. And then I think for the people that are, Let's see.
See, even the CNCF has to fill out their own form fields. They're not.
No, nobody gets away. I've done this many times. So, my job title is now CNCF. And let's see. And then the next page, right? So is the track you want to be on. So it looks like they're having a community and an enterprise one. Say I want to submit to like the community one, submission format. So solo, dual presentation or panel, title, abstract, benefits to the ecosystem, and other things that you want to do. Agreeing to the code of conduct, and then submitting the application. So looks like their CFP is a pretty easy process to kind of go through. Looks like we have a question from Eve too. So what is your advice for choosing sponsors? Most of the time it's large cloud providers, but would the event be a bit opinionated? Yeah, so I think a great thing about kind of like these local events is there's a lot of local companies that are looking to kind of like build their brand in the region. Like Mario, I guess, do you have any sponsors for your Meetup group or?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm wearing one of my previous companies, StockX, which is based in downtown Detroit, near Ann Arbor, where our Meetup is, had sponsored for a number of years our Meetup and events that we were doing as well. And I think this is super important because you should look at the organizers, who are the companies that they're working for, and then people that that are at your Meetup, and see if their companies would support the effort. Most of the time, we had people coming to the Meetup that loved what we were doing and said, hey, I'm working with my HR department to figure out, do we have a budget for spending on these sorts of things, and trying to help out. And I had a lot of different people doing that. And that is going to be some of the best kind of word of mouth, one-on-one, case by case, to get local companies that can see the value in this. And it's sometimes obviously you want to get their name out there, but also I think they do want to tap into more of the culture, more of the people in that locale, and learn about what's going on in the latest in technology as they start to adopt it themselves. That's what we've seen a lot. So thanks for asking, Bill. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So I'd focus on the local companies in your region. A lot of them need to hire people, or they're looking to, kind of like build the name for their services. So I'd actually start like in your local region for the companies to sponsor too. And I think Mario's experience kind of proves that out too. And also in terms of like, would it be a bit opinionated? Like, right, we'd like to have, organizers from multiple different companies, sponsors from multiple different companies. We don't want to see this kind of as events run by one group or one company. We want it to see as a community event with lots of different perspectives and lots of different people driving it forward. So, we like to be, kind of a collaborative place to go forwards together.
I want to mention, I think everybody, I love Google, I love Red Hat, I love the slew of other big names that are in our space, but I think you shouldn't have to feel like you need to go email Google and see if they'll sponsor your event. That's kind of the wrong way to think about it, I think. So I just don't get caught up in that. The other part is you don't need a ton of money to put these events on. The money definitely makes things a little bit easier and will help out on a multitude of ways, but you should also not be just spending money left and right on the most expensive item as well, because you don't need that. You need very little to really provide value to your to the attendees of the event. And a good example of this is food. You don't need the absolute best food. You don't want cardboard pizza, of course, as well, right? So you want somewhere in the middle. And I think there's kind of a benefit to thinking about your costs and making sure that you're spending as wisely as possible. So while I'm talking, it looks like Fabrizio has brought another question. Bill, do you suggest you define tier for sponsors, essentially for virtual events? How can I convince marketing team and companies to sponsor my KCD? Now, this is something where I feel like I would defer to the CNCF and some of the guidelines and what they have here, which looks like Bill's going to show us here in a moment. How I did my Meetup myself was I actually did build tiers, and I built kind of what you would get at each tier. What really ended up happening in the real world is that it was kind of just this loose discussion of what are they looking for? What can we provide them, and what do they feel comfortable with spending? And so we had some that came at the high tier, some that came somewhere in the middle, not many that came at the low tier, but maybe some individuals here and there. And like it was tunable. It wasn't like you have to do this amount to get these exact things. It was really case by case basis, and really a personal like back and forth that happened. And I think that is how it should be. Right. These are people that you know well. They live near you. They're in the same communities as you are. It should not be a very, very thick, strict, a massively well-defined thing. It should be loose. It should be conversational. So hopefully that helps you. And I'll give it to Bill to talk about more about like how the CNCF thinks about that sort of problem.
Yeah, definitely. So in terms of organizing, there's a lot of different resources under Kubernetes Community Days /content. And the one we're actually going to dive into right now is sponsors. So finding sponsors here. So this is the recommendations that we have, right? So it's important to have kind of like a lead for that to identify sponsors, and guidelines and rules. Like sponsorship should be the main thing. This is kind of like a community event. But when you are kind of like leveraging thing, I think Mario like nailed it exactly. Is it should be decided on like the local organizing team. We have some like templates of like kind of like what we can suggest and other like promotional opportunities. But I think you should also think about like tuning it for like each company's individual things. Maybe some are more focused on like promoting their brands. Some are more focused on recruiting, and kind of giving some flexibility into what they're able to kind of like get as a benefit out of it. And like Mario said, it's good to have like a conversation with those people. Yeah. And so there's a lot of resources in the GitHub repo if you want to dive more into each of these things. And so this doesn't just cover sponsorship, but this actually covers kind of like the whole gamut of running a successful event, from our code of conduct, what to do for the CFP, how to manage your budget, creating the website, some different FAQs that we have, managing speakers, marketing and promotion, like diving into the actual Bevy platform, managing registration. Like all these different resources are available in the GitHub repo.
Hey, Bill, can you hop into and just talk about really briefly what the Bevy platform is? And I think that goes to the cloud native community groups and that whole kind of ecosystem.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually where I was heading next, because we're almost running out of time here, and I definitely don't want to miss out on this. And so Cloud Native Community Groups is community.cncf.io. It's a great way to kind of get involved in your communities. And so you can see there's different ones all around the world in thousands. We can actually see Ann Arbor, Michigan here. So that's one done by Mario. But if we dive into this community days region, we can see the two different ones that are live right now. And so if we go into KCD Africa, we can see a lot of cool stuff. And yes, my account is in German, in case anybody was wondering. Sorry for those that don't speak German. But we can actually see the event right now. If we dive into this a little bit more, I'm actually super excited about this because they have a lot of really cool speakers. It's going to be Kelsey Hightower, Nikita, who's on the Kubernetes steering committee. Yeah, Priyanka is going to be there. I'm like super excited to go to this event. You can hear a little bit about the event here. They have their call for speakers up. You can actually see what they're looking for sponsorships right now. And since CNCF is doing a lot of this stuff around the platform and stuff, they're actually looking to, kind of encourage people to get into the ecosystem. So looking for KubeCon tickets, for getting people cloud engineering bootcamp sponsorships, internet data plan subscriptions, event planning and logistics, and if you want to dive more into that, you can go to their Open Collective page. And so this is kind of the background around it. And now if I want to actually kind of dive into the platform a little bit and show what it offers, we'll actually go into the back end now and see how this is all kind of set up. So here we can see, title, the link to the actual event, the description, the actual event description, the cover image that they have here, the event thumbnail. Like you were saying, Mario, before, I think they have a lot of really cool graphics stuff going on. So I'm super excited for the KCD Africa. I know I can't wait to see this happen. And I know actually Abu Bakr, who's kind of the main organizer before around it, is actually also going to be at KubeCon talking about how to encourage diversity in the open source ecosystem out of Africa too. So don't miss that talk at KubeCon.
For sure.
Yeah.
So really quickly, I know we just have a few more minutes, and I think Bevy is really changing the game because, after using meetup.com, which has its pros and cons, I think there's a lot to be desired. And I think Bevy covers a lot more of that. And so the CNCGs definitely provide more of a way to connect all of these pieces together and connect everything in Cloud Native together. I just want to read, there's actually a blog post on the CNCF blog when KCDs were announced. And I think this does a good job of breaking down what they are and kind of the what they cover and what you cover versus, how you put on this event. So the CNCF supports KCDs by providing guidance and tools covering all the aspects of holding a success event. These events are decentralized and focused on community engagement. We hope they will be a lot of fun and be a great way to meet new people while also building community. Local event organizers handle their own sponsorships, registration, and all other logistics. And of course, each event brings its own local flair, culture, diversity, and authenticity, logos, shirts, things like that, which is really, really exciting to hear. Also, my earbuds just canceled out, so I can't hear anything. So I'm going to hop over to those. I'm going to give it back to you, Bill, while I do that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we can dive into the virtual event platform. We're using Bevy Virtual. There's lots of different things that you can customize here. So we can see the speakers that we're adding here, sponsors and partner. We see that they have GitLab, CNCF. I think this is Open Source Africa and SheCode Africa, and then the different types of tickets. And then what Mario was saying before about, kind of the different types, the different features of Bevy and what it provides. One thing, it can provide a lot of analytics, but it also provides you an easy way to email all the people. So we can see that we have a lot of different emails scheduled here. And so things like reminders to attendees and things like that are really easy to organize in Bevy. And so if you have any questions about that, also super happy to chat about Bevy. And then if we go back to the content page, there's also a whole FAQ session on it there too. So
yeah. That's awesome to see. And I think the big thing when I think about setting up an event, even a workshop or a one-off, that might be a little bit bigger than the standard meetup, is how do I get the inflow of people that want to talk? How do I get that coming in somewhere? And then how do I communicate as well as possible asynchronously with everybody? And in Meetup, that was more of a manual process. And so we felt like it was the standard, 3 days before, let's send an email. And I think in most cases, you want to be a little bit more conversational with your audience. Don't overwhelm them with emails every day, but also make sure that they understand, how you're feeling about an event or what's going to be happening and where they can contribute, et cetera. So you don't want people asking 4 minutes before the event, what door do I enter and to get to this thing? So.
Yeah, definitely. And then also another cool things that Bevy has is things like setting the agenda and manage it all in there. People can build their own agendas in the Bevy platform, forms for pre-order and post-event. You can have that. If you want to have discounts on certain tickets, emails, wait lists, and different emails that you're sending out. So it's a really helpful platform to help make it easier for you as an event organizer to build and manage your community too. So.
Awesome. Yeah. And we're coming up on just a couple more minutes. If there's any final questions, please feel free to file those in. I personally think this is an amazing initiative. I wish I would have known more about it before COVID and being able to do a little bit more with it, maybe even in my region or a region tangentially located to me that I would enjoy, maybe somewhere in Ohio or somewhere else where I have friends. This is really cool. I think the CNCF is doing really good work here to try to get this kind of outward expression of community and define something where people have the kind of wherewithal and the flexibility themselves to be able to run these things, and the tool set is there for them, right? You're helping get us so far, especially with Bevy and with the support, and like Bill said, and especially his email that he very meticulously wrote out earlier, you can contact the CNCF about any of this. Their goal in life is to help out and help projects grow and thrive. And beyond projects, we see here events. And I think that's really important to the further nurturing of cloud native Kubernetes and all of those other amazing projects that are moving through the flow of getting graduated. So email Bill, there is his email. And see, I'm not important in these things. I'm just kind of a messenger. Bill is the one that really makes things happen. So with that, I'm gonna shut up. Bill, anything else that you want to talk about?
No, Mario, you are the community, so you are the important one here. I'm just lucky enough to have you around. So, yeah.
Totally. Okay, well, awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been a really fun session. I think there's only one or two more that I will be doing. We'll see. I might come in different capacities throughout the year, depending on what else is happening. But I'm having a lot of fun. I hope all of you are as well. Next week will be Paulo. We don't know what he's talking about yet. I think that will be announced very shortly. So thank you for tuning in. Take care. Have a great rest of your week, rest of your month. Mario and Bill signing off. Goodbye.
Thanks.